Well, DOJ is still chipping away at government waste, and Attorney General Pam Bondi has a message for anyone caught committing government fraud. You will be prosecuted.
So Peter Ducey is live at the White House. Peter, your day started early.
Yeah, good morning. And officials here have been dozing long enough that they are starting to distinguish between government waste and government fraud.
There is a tremendous amount of fraud, and Elon, thank you for your partnership. Thank you for your team. You have uncovered so much fraud in our government, and we will prosecute you. We have an internal task force now working with every agency sitting here at this table, and if you've committed fraud, we're coming after you.
And not everything is fraud. Some of these big government contracts are real head scratchers, though.
EA has now canceled over $22 billion worth of contracts. $2 billion going to this NGO that Stacey Abrams was tied to. They received only $100 in 2023. And then the Biden administration gave them $2 billion. The director of the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund saw his former employer get $5 billion. So $20 billion went to just 8 NGOs.
We didn't even know there was going to be a cabinet meeting yesterday, but it wound up being a chance for the gathered secretaries to brag about cuts they're making in front of the big boss, President Trump.
The case of fraud was with the Small Business Administration, where they were handing out loans, $330 million worth of loans to people under the age of 11. I think the youngest, Kelly, was a 9-month-old who got a $100,000 loan. That's a very precocious baby we're talking about here.
Babies getting small business loans, that is something the current president is trying to wind down. Back to you.
Hey, Peter, before you go, the number one story everybody's talking about from the White House is, and it's a headline in the New York Post, Trump team accidentally added lefty editor to secret text group planning Yemeni raids. What are people saying? Do you have any scoop today?
Well, they did promise to be the most transparent White House ever, right? I guess adding a journalist to a group chat like that would be consistent with that promise. But,
I don't think that's what they meant.
Right. But I have heard that Mike Waltz is telling people that he has no idea how this happened. He has never met Jeffrey Goldberg. He has never spoken to Jeffrey Goldberg. So if the story is that Jeffrey Goldberg is invited by Michael Waltz to this group that the NSC says is a real chat group, they looked at it. They said this is a thread that they think is all legitimate. Pete Hegseth, though, claims that there were no war plans shared. But Mike Waltz says he has no idea how this happened. And he is saying that Signal, the encrypted messaging app, is allowed at various government agencies. And we looked it up. There is guidance for highly targeted individuals to use end-to-end encrypted software like this, free apps, Signal, WhatsApp, to try to avoid being hacked.
Right.
So
wow, Peter, that's fascinating. So you're saying that you have learned it's okay for government officials to be using Signal?
Yeah, we pulled a quote. If you give me 1 second, I have it in my email here from the CISA guidance. And part of it says, adopt a free messaging application for secure communications that guarantees end-to-end encryption. They want that for highly targeted individuals. And they say, while no single solution eliminates all risks, implementing these best practices significantly enhances protection. So,
okay. All right. Well, that's interesting.
That
moving
is
the
very
story forward.
interesting.
Yeah.
So
and it is worth. It's also worth. We've been asking everybody about this. I have heard from a different senior administration official that they are denying these reports that Waltz is on the chopping block. So
well, and that's what I was going to ask you about, because the Wall Street, Politico says half the president's advisors say that Waltz is in trouble. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that President Trump is angry at him, but at the same time, a bunch of Democrats want the president to fire Waltz over this. But given the fact that Democrats want it, that's probably job security for Mike Waltz, because the last thing he wants to do is cave to Democrats.
And this reporter, Jeffrey Goldberg, is somebody that President Trump and his senior advisors do not like. They are not big fans of the reporting that he has done about President Trump over the last couple of years. And so that raised some questions last night about why would Mike Waltz have this phone number in his phone at all for Jeffrey Goldberg, because you need to have the digits in there to invite somebody to a Signal chat. But he is saying that they've never spoken and they have never met. So that is the story on the first day of this probe, which
Peter, I totally hear you on Jeffrey Goldberg. I mean, I was press secretary with the Suckers and Losers story. I immediately found a dozen sources to discredit his reporting. I was sitting here with you guys with the Vanessa Gullion reporting, which was discredited by Ben Williamson, Mark Meadows, among others. NSC, though, to their credit, they own this, Peter. They said this is an authentic chain. They did not try to deny it. But my question here, I mean, Jeffrey Goldberg, I watched him last night. He intimates that his name popped up as JG in the Signal chat. I would think, and Lawrence Jones is like a Signal expert over here, JG, if it pops up as such in the chat, you got to be in someone's phone.
Who is that?
Yeah, JG, I don't know. Do you know JG at the White House?
Well, there's speculation that it was meant to be Jameson Greer, the U.S. trade representative, but that at this point is just speculation.
That would explain.
There's no way to know. But what I kind of am curious about, why did JG leave the chat? I guess everybody that was on there got an alert. Oh, JG has left the group chat on Signal.
Oh, I didn't know that. I missed that. Okay, wow.
Yeah, and so, you got to stick around a little bit, see what else they're going to talk about. And I do think there's probably some level of, from the reporting about this, there is probably some level of jealousy from everybody else writing about this that they were not added.
Without question.
Well, that's interesting. Peter, thank you for moving the story. So Mike Waltz says, in speaking to him, he said, I have no idea how my phone number got into the contact info. If this is a government phone, so you're the national security advisor, and they say, hey, here's your phone. Guys, welcome to your first day. This is going to be the dress code. This is where the halls are. This is what you're going to do. Here's where the men's room is. Do they hand you the government phone? And could someone else be loading your contacts? Like, I'm obviously loading my Signal contacts, but is somebody else, like a staffer, loading your contacts? And was that person confused? So maybe the trade rep. Why would the trade rep be in that? Well, just looking at the substance, kind of makes sense. Because what do they say? Only 3%, J.D. Vance in pushing back, says only 3% of our commerce goes through there. Europe's got 40%. Why are we doing the work for Europe? So that's maybe why a trade rep might be in there.
Yeah.
But I'm not making excuses, just trying to piece it together.
And I said, first of all, I said from the very beginning, in the first hour, the Signal thing doesn't bother me.
True,
them using Signal because they all use it. They do, and I'm glad. I didn't know there was official guidance to use Signal. I just know that this is the platform they do it because they find it to be secure. Number two, as it relates to the intelligence being shared back and forth, my question is, what is he talking about? Is he talking about just conversations? Because in order for maps and stuff, that stuff doesn't leave. And with Signal, you would have to download that on your phone.
You can't get a map on...
You could, but you can't get a military map unless you have a secretary or someone at a high level downloading stuff to their phone. They don't download...
Look at the rapidity of that exchange.
They don't do that. That's on... You can't even have the phone and that parts of the Pentagon. That's all on hardwire and all that type of stuff. So I'm just not buying, maps and stuff of attacks. Now, maybe they were having conversation to that point. The last point I'm going to make, and I just put a bow on it, I think Mike Waltz is known as a trusted ally of the president. I think if the president is furious this morning, he's furious about it being sloppy. He doesn't like sloppiness. He doesn't like giving the enemy more ammunition. I don't think there was anything that was high level that was disclosed. A lot of the back and forth that we saw that was revealed there, it's what we kind of expected in the public.
And Jeffrey Goldberg was very vague on that. He said operational details. Well, Jeffrey, we have a reason not to trust your reporting. I'd like to see hard footnotes to all of your reporting.
Well, the one thing that he did that was the right thing, he did not report on any of the stuff until way after it happened. And so, he didn't want to screw up the operational success of it, and apparently he did not. But now, and this is, it'll be interesting to see where we are 24 hours from now, because there are going to be hearings up on Capitol Hill today where a number of Trump cabinet members are just going to get pummeled over this. And, about it being sloppy and how did it happen, and they're going to say, I don't know, and it's not a good thing.
No,
Right.
it's not.
I would say this. A source close to the president said Michael Waltz is safe. So that's, I think, important because you're looking at the Daily Mail and you're looking at Politico. You have people have a different story. And I just think that this is a story. It's also overwhelming. Don't overwhelm the fact that regardless of what you think, the operation was overwhelmingly successful. The message is also a message needs to be sent to Iran, and it also has to show Israel we got your back because they're lobbing rockets in there. So the process, the pushback, we shouldn't have seen it, obviously. But as we rip the cover off, I like the exchange between all sides. They're not all singing from the same hymn book. I like the push and pull.
If you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing to my channel to stay up to date with future videos. Thank you for watching.